AC24 ਦੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਹੋਸਟ ਪੌਲ ਚੀਮਾ। ਖਿਮਾ ਦੇ ਜਾ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ 'ਚ ਕੁਛ ਮਾੜੀ ਮੋਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਖੈਰ ਬੜੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਕੋਈ ਉਥਲ ਪਥਲ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੁਦ ਵੀ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ। ਸੋ ਆਈ ਵਾਜ਼ ਜਸਟ ਟੇਕਨ ਇਨ ਫॉर ਅ ਸਰਪ੍ਰਾਈਜ਼ ਟੁਡੇ। ਮਾਫੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫੇਰ। ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਹੋਸਟ ਜੁੜ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਸੁਰਾ ਫਰੋਮ ਐਬਟਸਫੋਰਡ BC। ਰੀਮੈਕਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਜੀ। 7789991531 ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਆ। ਅੱਜ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਲੱਗ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਦਿਨਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਜੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨ ਲੱਗੇ ਆ। ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਉਂ ਵੈਕਿਊਮ ਗੈਪ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ। ਪਰ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ, ਭੈਣਾਂ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ, ਮਿੱਤਰਾਂ, ਦੋਸਤਾਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਵਧਾਈ ਦੇਣਾ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ ਜੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਦਿਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਨਮ ਦਿਨ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਆਪਣੀ ਐਨੀਵਰਸਰੀ ਮਨਾ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, ਆਪਣੇ ਮਕਾਨ ਦੀ ਕਲੋਜ਼ਿੰਗ ਦਾ ਆਨੰਦ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ, ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਕੋਈ ਨਵ ਜਨਮੇ ਸ਼ਿਸ਼ੂ ਦਾ ਆਗਮਨ ਹੋਇਆ। ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਦੇਵੇ ਤੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੁਹੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ, ਦੇਸ਼ ਨੂੰ, ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਦਾਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੋ। ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਕੋਟ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਉਂਦੇ। ਉਹ ਕੋਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ, ਸਾਡੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਾਈਡ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਵੇ। ਅੱਜ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਮਾਂ ਬੜਾ ਵਰਤ ਲਿਆ, ਬੜੇ ਕੁਇਕਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਕੋਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਲੰਘਾਂਗੇ। ਇੱਕ ਕੋਟ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਸੈਨੇਕਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਜੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਫੁੱਲ ਨਾਮ ਲੂਸੀਅਸ ਐਨੀਅਸ ਸੈਨੇਕਾ ਬਾਈ ਨੇਮ, ਸੈਨੇਕਾ ਦਾ ਯੰਗਰ। ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ, ਸਦੀਆਂ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਜੀ। 65 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ 'ਚ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਅਲਵਿਦਾ ਕਹਿ ਕੇ ਚਲੇ ਗਏ। ਸਪੇਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਸੀ, ਰੋਮਨ ਫਿਲੋਸਫਰ ਸੀਗੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਵਿਕੀਪੀਡੀਆ 'ਤੇ ਕੋਈ ਲੰਬੀ ਚੌੜੀ ਖਬਰ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਹੈ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਰ ਇੰਨੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੜੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ। ਪਰ ਮਾੜੀ ਗੱਲ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੌਤ ਦਾ ਕਾਰਨ ਆਤਮ ਹੱਤਿਆ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਚੰਗੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸੋਚ ਦਿੱਤੀ, ਦ ਗ੍ਰੇਟੈਸਟ ਰੈਮੇਡੀ ਫॉर ਐਂਗਰ ਇਜ਼ ਡਿਲੇ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਜੀ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਦੋ ਬੰਦੇ ਆਪਸ 'ਚ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਕਰਨ ਤਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੂੰਹ 'ਚ ਪਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਘੁੱਟ ਭਰ ਕੇ ਬੈਠ ਜਾਵੇ। ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਇਹਦੇ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਦੱਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਵਾਈਫ ਦੀ ਆਪਸ 'ਚ ਬੜੀ ਲੜਾਈ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਹਾਰ ਕੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਫਲਾਣੇ ਸੰਨਿਆਸੀ ਕੋਲ ਚਲੀ ਜਾ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਤੋਂ ਆਜ਼ਾਦ ਕਰ ਦੇਗਾ ਤੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਮੁੱਕ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਉਹ ਸੰਨਿਆਸੀ ਕੋਲ ਗਏ। ਸੰਨਿਆਸੀ ਨੇ ਬੜੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੁਣਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਸੰਨਿਆਸੀ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਤੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੂੰਹ 'ਚ ਪਾਣੀ ਦਾ ਘੁੱਟ ਭਰ ਲੈਣਾ। ਉਹ ਜੇ ਜਨਾਨੀ ਬੋਲਦੀ ਬੁਲਾਉਂਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਇੱਦਾਂ ਚਲੇ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਸੀ। ਜੇ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਨੂੰ ਗੁੱਸਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਪਾਣੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੂੰਹ 'ਚ ਭਰ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਇਵੈਂਚੁਅਲੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਘਰ ਦਾ ਕਲੇਸ਼ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ। ਸੁਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮੇਰੀ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਕਲੀਅਰ ਆ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਵਾਜ਼ ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਚੈਲੰਜ ਆ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀ ਚੱਕਰ ਹੋਇਆ। ਮਸਲਾ ਇਹ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਿਸਟਮ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਪਡੇਟ 'ਤੇ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੋਫਟਵੇਅਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਯੂਜ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਅੱਧਾ ਪਚੱਧਾ ਅਪਲੋਡ ਹੋਇਆ, ਐਬੋਰਟ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਇੰਸਟਾਲੇਸ਼ਨ। ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਛ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਤਬਾਹ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ। ਹੁਣ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰ ਕੀ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਚੱਲ ਕੀ ਰਿਹਾ। ਅਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਜਦ ਤੱਕ ਮੈਂ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤਪਾਲ ਸੂਰਾ ਨੂੰ ਕੰਨੀ ਸੁਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਸਮਝ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਹਿ ਵੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਕੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਆ। अमृत सुरा साहब ਨੂੰ मैं बड़ी जल्दी लाइन ਤੇ ਆਉਂਗਾ। अमृत साहब थोड़ा मैंने
Good
वक्त
morning.
देना। we again got some glitch, audio नहीं आ रही मेरे को। I will be back with you within a few minutes. So this is something that was totally uncertain for us. Back testing 1 2 3. Hello, mic testing 1 2 3. We will be having some issues with the echo today. Something I cannot control, and I don't have much time for this. Mr. Sura, can you hear me clear?
I can hear you clearly.
Is there any echo coming in, sir?
Not a huge amount.
Okay, is it okay now?
I can hear. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Perfect.
So, Mr. Sura, welcome to the studio, sir. Sorry
Welcome, guys.
for keeping you waiting. I'm trying to see if I can fix this echo issue. Abilities.
Now you're quite low. Turn it.
No, I'm quite
Yeah.
low. Can you
There
hear
you
me
go.
now?
A little more.
Is echo coming in?
A little more.
Mic testing 1 2 3.
Yeah. You can hear you.
Okay. As long as we can avoid some echo, we should be okay. I do have some gadgets, but I did not get time to plug that in. So I didn't know what's going to happen today. vMix software prompted me to update it. So I set it up on update, and for 2 days I did not touch computer. I wasn't broadcasting for the last 2 days, Monday and Tuesday. And when I came in today, I saw that the update was still running. And it was
Wow.
telling me this is unable to close some app. So I tried to close it, redo it. So I think in the meanwhile, it deleted many of my files. And when I opened vMix, there was nothing here, no guest call in, no link, nothing. It totally threw me into so many loops that I finally could run it. But the echo is there because I'm using my computer's microphone, and this monitor headphone is not functioning. So sorry for this setup. Well, this is what we can do. We can try to figure out how we can run our lives.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there's challenges, and like you said, in some of the challenging things, you got to step back and take a deep look inside. I think at the end of the day, that quote that you just mentioned, it's trying to address patience. Everybody needs to have patience with everything,
Yes.
really. So
Yes, that's all we can do, right?
yeah, exactly.
At least I
Um,
wanted to be in touch with the audience, with you. So Wednesday and Fridays I am broadcasting from my own system, but other days I have been requested to support a TV channel called Sanja Punjab. The guy who owns
Great.
that station, he is running for mayor in Brampton. So he asked me
Great.
to help his partner run the show. So this is where I go these days, 10 to
Oh,
11
great.
o'clock. Yeah. So Wednesdays will always be an exception, and so would be Fridays. So I will be here on my live broadcast. So, he's a good man. His name is Bob Singh. a very generous, very kind soul, supports people, and I couldn't say no to him.
So that's, yeah, a candidacy for mayoral support. I mean, obviously they're going to be doing tremendous things around the community. This is a strong anchor for any community when they're moving along, because you need some good guidance from people who have had their own life success, and then they know how to organize a cooperation, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So that's excellent.
Yeah, well, I couldn't say no to him, and I can never say no to him. Are you still having my echo there?
It's a slight echo, but actually it's pretty good.
Okay, well, I'm trying to cut it down as much as I can.
There's no echo now.
Fantastic. Woohoo! We got it.
We got it. Yeah. Patience, right?
Yeah, well, I have been playing around while you were speaking.
Yeah.
My all my connections to my switcher is lost. So now I have to find out where I have to find myself as a solo and where I have to find you in in this setup, the way you are
Right.
looking at. Anyways, we are anyways alive. So housing market has been undergoing tremendous changes every day. People are worried, scared. House prices keep going down, but there were certain municipalities which actually showed the numbers going up. Those municipalities in Peel region was Mississauga went up by 0.32% as of 21st August as compared with month of July. And then another municipalities that gained was Georgina, 2.36%. The house average house price went up. And Markham went up by 4.62% in the York region. Westerstoffield registered a gain of 13.2% as of August 21. I don't know what happened later on. I didn't get a chance to check it up, but maybe during the broadcast I will revisit those numbers. Ajax went up 1.85%, Brock went up by 7.5%, Clarington went up by 8.52%, Oshawa went up by 4%, and another municipality that went up was Mono in Dufferin, and Shelburne in Dufferin 1.353%. Cambridge in Waterloo, Kitchener-Waterloo area went up by 1.51%. So that means there is a movement going on the upside. There is an uptick in certain municipalities and the prices are going to go up slightly. I think the main reason for that is stabilizing of the interest rate for now. As long as the interest is stabilized, we'll keep seeing the buyers going outside to make their home purchases. For some, this is the golden time. Sometimes the window is very, very small. So you have to understand that window is very small. One has to act pretty fast. So mortgage rates, we are expecting a 75 basis point increase come September 7. So strong speculation. We are still having high inflation of 7.6%. If the overnight lending rate goes up by 75 basis points, you will be looking at a prime rate of 5.45%. So let's hope it doesn't happen, but there are strong indicators of Bank of Canada going further up. My expectation for August inflation is that it will be around either 7% or 7.2%. In June, it was 8.1%. After government took serious stand on lowering it, the inflation came down to 7.6% in July, and I'm pretty hopeful this will be either 7 or close to 7, 7 plus 1, 2 in this ratio. That will be a welcome step. Efforts of Bank of Canada would have paid off because once they are able to control inflation, sellers can see their home prices stabilizing, becoming more sane, and buyer will have a better option to make their purchase and negotiate the right price, of course, with conditions. So if you see the house price going up, then you be very careful. Do not repeat the cycle of 2014, 2017 that your realtor tells you to pay 50, 60, 80,000 over asking price. Tell him to stop. You take your action. You are also an integral component to control the rising prices, not only the realtors. It is easy to pass the blame over to realtor that they asked me to increase the price. What do you think, Amrit Sura?
Yeah, so again, on a level of control, I think basically the buyers should again have the ability to make you know make the request that approaching it in a sensible manner as opposed to having that scarcity mentality and overpricing or overbidding for something because your fear of missing out, and that's what really hyped everything up for the last year and a half. Is one, the lack of supply, two, the the parties that were within the industry, obviously the buyers are included within those parties. They were not necessarily being patient enough. I mean, granted, we had a dynamic situation where people thought that the interest rates would remain low for the longest time. So they were able to qualify for mortgages a little bit easier, and taking the next steps. They almost felt pushed that they were obligated to pay 100,000 or $200,000 more than asking. So now it's a different scenario where we're seeing some homes in say, for example, central Abbotsford. If they had been marketed last year, they may have garnered a couple $100,000 more because of the demand by the buyers. Now a similar such house may be sold for $30,000 or $40,000 less than what it's priced. So yes, the price is the price, and the seller has a price in their mind, but that's just an offer for treating. So at the end of the day, someone can come in with reasonable steps. They can say, okay, we want this place. These are the conditions, and let's take action in a patient and structured manner, as opposed to being a bull in a china shop. So last year there were lots of bulls in china shops, and a lot of pushing and pulling happened, and in that regard, yes, some people they're happy, they've moved. Some people have acquired property, and they're still in their properties, which is they're thankful for. So I think the next steps are for the next group of buyers who are going to have the opportunity to make these transactions happen, right?
Yes, that's perfectly true. So that's what I'm saying. Everybody should have learned a lesson from the previous markets that went out through the roof. If the realtor suggested to give 50,000 higher than asking price, as a buyer, one should hold off that thought. They say, no, 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 no. I am not going to go over $10,000. Whether he gives it to me or not, I am willing to walk away. Ability to walk away from a purchase, I think that's what is going to control the market for decades to come. It's not that, oh, you know what, I'm okay, I will pay my 3 years of equity today and then look like an idiot, get into my house and will not be able to smile for at least 3 years. Because if I lose a job, then what happens? I have already eaten 3 years worth of my equity. So I'm going into delinquent stage. Bank of the RBC actually Bank of Montreal thinks that the delinquencies on mortgage are going to increase, and the bank is expecting at least a large number of people failing to make the payments because it's going to go higher. And they say 25% of their mortgages are secured. Second renewals are spread out over time, and only 10% of their uninsured installment mortgages product are up for renewal in the next 12 months, giving borrowers some time to adjust. But they are expecting, to quote it, it says in its third quarter earnings call, the Bank of Montreal said rising interest rates will have the greatest impact on mortgage borrowers at renewal time, and the bank will see 14 billion of its uninsured portfolio renew in 12 months. And they do expect the recent interest changes to impact borrowers when they refinance or renew, which ultimately could lead to increased delinquencies. This is said by the Chief Risk Officer, Pat Cronin. So they are really thinking this is going to happen, and if they're thinking that, they must be thinking very right. Many capped variable rates mortgages, they will see either their amortization period increased, the time required to pay off the mortgage, or they will see their monthly payments go up. Because every lender does not give you capped variable rate, or if they give you capped variable rate, they may choose to increase your payments rather than increase your amortization period. So you got to control how you want to buy the house. This time, do not listen to any realtor, listen to yourself, listen to your gut feeling, and then take a decision. Try to help keep the prices sane and within everybody's reach.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, they've got to look at their expenditure, right? It's not just going to fall out of the sky. They've got to know, okay, this is the income coming in, and what steps are you taking in order to make those payments happen? At the end of the day, they have to make a consistent payment, and not get into the situation where they've overpaid and then they're suffering. So
it goes mostly on the borrower's mindset. I see then borrowers, they start blaming realtors that this is what they got. They made them do. It is a very scary situation. I'm working on a transaction, Amrit. Appraisal came low. The guy has his own lender who refuses to lend beyond a certain limit. The guy got into a big shortfall of about $200,000, and we are all trying to fix that. And I had a lengthy discussion with my seller clients today. I told them, A, either give him $100,000 off on the price, I will reduce my commission. B, reduce by 75 grand, I will try to help the buyer on my end, try to reduce his gap. C, refuse to agree on this change. Or D, give them a loan, and that will be subject to risk. He may pay you back, he may not pay you back, he may take 1 year to pay, he may take 3 years to pay. So we had a lengthy discussion over phone today, this morning, and I said, I'm sorry, I don't want you to do anything, but this is where we are. And they said, Paul, that's okay, we're trying to find a solution, which I greatly liked, the phrase, finding a solution. But every buyer is or seller is not that lenient. They say, okay, we sold it for $2.9 million, we need $2.9 million. And then they risk losing the sale, trying to relist, sell for a lower price, and go after the buyer, the first buyer, for the deficit amount. Consider the cost of litigation, time, loss of working hours, and then the profit will be same if you rather break on the price rather than go to all those headache and still net less money than that.
And the stress amount,
And the
right?
stress. Well,
That's gonna.
stress comes for free actually. It has no cost to it.
I don't think people are lining up for the stress aspect, but at the end of the day, it's a you know, it's a bit of a seesaw situation where you're trying your best in order to make something happen, right? At the end of the day, they'll you know, they can make it happen in some way. I certainly hope that things work out, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I really hope too, because that's how it should be. So over
Yeah.
the past 7 days in the region of Peel, and region of Peel comprises of municipalities of Brampton, Mississauga, and Caledon. There have been 280, let me go back, 289 new listings that came in during these 7 days. But then the sold listings were 189. That gives me a sales to new listing ratio for these 7 days at 65%, which is cool. Well, we were seeing 40, 41%, 35% sales to new listing ratio, but sales to new listing ratio now is going up, which indicates buyers are jumping in, trying to buy, because I think this is kind of getting adjusted to the new norms, to the new realities of interest rates. And for those people who bought houses in last 2-3 years, they may not understand this. For them, 5% could be a very, very high rate of interest. But ask me, when I took my first mortgage, it was at 6%. So for me, that is the normal,
Yeah.
right? But it
So
was
six
very hard.
percent, but
Yeah,
the
I got
property
6%
prices were quite
variable.
low.
It is quite low. 6% is still okay. So that's why banks were trying to qualify people at stress test rate. But stress test means nothing these days. If a bank is giving 6%, they will qualify you at 8%. This is insane. Stress test must be done with now. We don't need stress test. The stress test was only to see if this buyer or borrower will be able to make payments if the interest rates go up to 5.25%. But now they are there, so why do they need stress test now? Are we expecting the rates to go 10%, 11%, 12%? Or if that's the case, okay. But if not, stress test should be removed. Bank of England took this off their list now. They don't stress test.
Right. Yeah, I think the that strategy was to sort of see how these guys can perform, and it's reached its peak. So yes, some of these guys who were qualified, they can perform on their obligations. So obviously the stress test worked for that phase of things. Now, like you said, are they anticipating more inflated rates? Then, at the end of the day, they'll have to sort of determine that as the weeks and days go on, right? So, in your part of the world, on the other aspect of the financing, you've got some announcements coming up. Potentially September 7th, an increase of 0.75%, or 0.75 basis points, technically.
Yeah.
Do you see that happening?
Well, I am
You
pretty
think?
confident they will go up. They have to go up unless the inflation is under control, Marit. So they will keep changing the rates and everything for all the variable mortgage rates. You will see a change in values.
So
Well,
we're still at
well,
7.6% now, right?
yes, the inflation is still at 7.6%. The statement for inflation will be released somewhere around 16 or 17th. So then we'll know exactly what is the inflation rate.
So since January gradually increased, June being the sixth month, there's a peak. So down to 7.6%. The trajectory might come down, you think?
Uh, for the interest rates,
Yes.
well, once the inflation comes down, the banks will kind of stabilize the interest rates. When the interest rates stabilize, the house price will still keep coming down. So that will give better affordability to both buyers.
Hmm.
So the target inflation rate is between 2 and 3%. That is going to take, I think, all of 2023. It's not going to be, I think, feasible to bring it to 2 to 3% by end of this year. It simply won't be possible. So that's how we expect that the market will stay down till end of 2023 and may start picking up slowly after, let's say, first quarter of 2024. Just speculations. We are all trying to make educated guesses here.
Yeah, so there's been substantial changes even last year.
Hmm.
We had, beginning of the year was 1% inflation rate, and then at the end of the year, 4.8%. So obviously there was different dynamics in the market at that point, but at a rapidly increasing rate, they were still lending at a fraction of what was being lent in the
Yes,
past months, right?
yes,
So, I mean, the blame game, yes, in some scenarios, the blame game can be pushed towards the buyers and the realtors for inflating the prices and then the fear of missing out. But at the end of the day, the biggest the biggest lip service provider sometimes is the government themselves, right? So
yes.
the mess, the simple mess that we're in is thanks to
Thanks to
the
them.
people that running the country.
Yeah.
So
Well, we should be grateful to them, basically.
we should be grateful. Yes.
In Canada, the GDP has grown up. Like they say, Canadian GDP growth, oh, sorry, slowing into summer. GDP rose 3.3% annualized in quarter two to build on a 3.1% quarter one gain. Bounce back in service spendings and higher business investment offset housing downturn. That is the money they are losing on housing, they are recovering from the service spending and higher business investment. Pace of growth slowing into the summer as inflation and Bank of Canada rate hikes bite. Advance estimate of July output down 0.1%. So this is the report from RBC, and they say the quarter two GDP gain was roughly a percentage point at annualized rates, lower than expected, but still marked a small tick up from the 3.1% increase in quarter one. Residential investment pulled back sharply as housing markets slowed following Bank of Canada rate hikes. But consumer spending jumped 9.7%, led by a bounce back in travel and hospitality spending after winter pandemic lockdowns were largely lifted. Businesses spent more on investment, 13.9%, and accumulated more inventories. But much of those purchases came from abroad via a huge 30.5% increase in imports. So net trade was a large net subtraction from GDP add up despite a solid export gain of 10.9%. It is too complicated for me to understand, but they are saying GDP has gone slightly up, which is not bad, which is cool, but this is how the things have been moving right now. So as GDP goes up, people's power to buy will also increase. Inflation comes down, rates stabilize, people would be able to buy houses as the prices are still coming down. This is kind of scenario we are in. It is still a balanced market in many municipalities. It's not tilted either in favor of buyers or in favor of sellers. So I just shared municipalities where gains were reported. So right now, Amrit, I have municipalities as at end of 30th August, which is yesterday. Mississauga has gained 1.32% versus July prices. It was 0.32% before when I opened the dialogue. East Gwillimbury went up by 7.95% month over month. Average price in Markham went up 4.18%, and Whitchurch-Stouffville went up 9.10%. So we are seeing certain municipalities in GTA going up in prices. So I am not lying. These are all real data. We are deriving them from Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, and of course they are being presented without any guarantee or warranty as to their being 100% accurate. Just presenting as we are seeing them. So what I want to say, prices are going up, Amrit. I don't know how it's in your municipalities around Abbottsford or in Abbottsford, but we are seeing an uptick in average prices now.
Yeah, I mean, availability is going to be the biggest thing too, right? At the end of the day, if there's no supply, then the prices will gradually increase. I mean, from what I've noticed, certain categories are on a downward trend as far as homes are concerned. I mean, just in the last day, there's been 7 price reductions. So that'll really help you understand that day to day, it's a fluctuation. I've not seen many prices gone up as far as the increase in the ask is concerned. And certainly there's more lengthy listings on the market, so opportunities for buyers. If the listing is a little bit stagnant, they might be able to acquire a property at a lower price. Down payment goes down because obviously the price has gone down, and if they're able to if they're able to get the financing approved, then they're in a great scenario, because some of the people that lost out in the bidding wars, they still have their down payments ready, right? So
you're right.
there's still going to be buyers. A lot of people are going to just capture on what's available, and see whether or not there's some kind of flexibility for a workaround between the seller and the buyer. So it is coming thick and fast, the changes, but everyone that needs to move, they will move. I was speaking to a lady earlier, uh, who was on a search locally. They've
Hmm.
now decided they're going to move to, Alberta. So
Okay.
no more Abbotsford. They're going to go off with their job into another province because the price points are a little bit more conducive. Um, their job stays the same. They earn the same money.
Uh-huh.
So a constant wave of coming and going will continue to happen, as you know. I mean, at the end of the day, um, everything is cyclical. Yes, there's going to be a tremendous amount of um, is it agony?
Yeah.
Agony. I wouldn't say so much as that. For definitely for the people who are locally based and have not had the opportunity to really save substantial amounts of money for down payments, they might have to wait a little while, or they might go into a pre-sale scenario where they put a fixed amount down and get prepared for completion 2 or 3 years down the road. So
Yeah.
still opportunity. I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's ample opportunity for everyone. We're seeing an uptick in the number of people transitioning from Hong Kong still coming
Yeah.
into to BC.
Immigration is
So
going on strong.
yeah.
Yeah. Immigration going on
So I
strong.
mean, again, the demand is going to continue. So that's why 1 to 2% you'll see the fluctuation. Is it going to continue that way? Um, I think at the end of the day, we've just got to have the patience to ride the storm, right?
Yes.
Stay steadfast and be determined on your goals, whatever they may be for home ownership or providing homes. Some people acquire properties in order to provide rentals. So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, that will continue happening.
You're right. And here is
Yeah.
a list of more municipalities which have gained in average home prices. So I told you Whitcher-Stouffville went up by 9.10%. Many municipalities in Durham region, which is on the east side of Toronto, such as Ajax, went up 1.64%, Brock went up 4.38%, Clarington went up 6.64%, Oshawa went up 4.48%, Uxbridge went up by 20.03%. Municipalities in Durham region. And municipalities in the Dufferin region, East Luther Grand Valley went up by 8.93% as of 30th August 2022. And then Mono went up by 3.31%, and Cambridge in Waterloo region went up by 1.70%. So I have a list of about 33 municipalities, out of which, if I count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 12 municipalities of 33 have registered a positive gain. Gain is always positive anyways. Have shown a gain in average prices from July, month over month. Something you may like to think about in a quiet corner of your home, renting, or you're planning to make a switch to bigger or smaller house. So think about it. This may be the peak lower prices as well. Just as the peak high prices, there may be peak low prices still. So when the curve starts going upward, is this the point? Ask yourself this question. Mississauga went up by 1.32%, and that's a great news for Mississauga residents. So we are at 11:28 p.m. Amrit, any special thing you want to share with us today? Sorry for 15 minutes loss in the beginning.
No, not at all. I mean, at the end of the day, getting the message across to people is you've got to continue on with your goals and your hopes and desires for home ownership. If it is not this year, it might be next year, right? So position yourself with a good professional that's going to be patient with you and not force and push you into a direction which is going to be detrimental to your guys' family life, right? So at the end of the day, yes, everybody needs shelter. Do you have to hold off for 6 months? Do you have to hold off for a year? Make that decision based on your pocketbook, right? At the end of the day, there will still be opportunity in years to come. Now, as Mr. Cheema has said, there's a peak low season. Now, that might be the one where while you were being beat in the competitions last year, you may be in a position to acquire that space because you've had the ability to hold on with the deposit monies ready. So, act quickly with a professional, mortgage specialist, mortgage broker, and a local realtor who you trust, and make those moves, because at the end of the day, there's only going to be limited time opportunities, right? And we just never know when the shift is going to happen in the other direction.
That's true. That's so amazing words of wisdom, I would say. So, guys, before we take your permission, I'm once again sorry for 15 minutes lapse. We didn't know this coming, but we still were able to get the message across that you know how the market is today as of 30th August 2022. Before we leave, I would like to offer our condolences to those who lost their family member. PC24, Paul Cheema Amrit Sura, we join you in your grief. May God give peace to the departed soul and bestow you with strength so you can overcome the biggest vacuum in your life. We'll see you on Friday now, because I have been doing another show at the same time. You can find me on Sanja Punjab TV show every day except Wednesday and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We'll see how we can make changes, but that's the schedule right now to help a good friend who is running for mayoral elections in city of Brampton. He's a great guy. Bob Singh is his name. You may like to look up to him. You may like to give him a call and find out what he can do for you guys if he becomes the mayor of city of Brampton. Thank you very much for your time. We'll take your leave and see you next time. Till then, bye-bye. Oh, by the way, we are going to have 6 panelists on Friday, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. right here on this broadcast. Stay tuned for more information. Thank you very much.